Hello students, in the last class we talked about the canonical transformation. So what was that canonical transformation? The transformation which is denoted by qi tilde, that was a function of tqi pi, right? And pi tilde, of course, that is a function of tqi pi. Then this transformation with condition is that curl of that I am writing over q1 tilde p1 tilde up to qn tilde pn tilde with respect to q1 p1 q2 p2 qn pn is non-zero. Okay, then this transformation is said to be the canonical one if it transform the Hamilton system, you know that Hamilton system qi dot is equal to curl h over curl qi and pi dot is equal to, that pi dot will be equal to minus curl h over curl qi to the another Hamilton system where the function is denoted by qi tilde dot, that means dqi over dt, that will be equal to curl h over, here it is pi. Okay, so it will be curl h tilde over curl pi tilde. Okay, and pi tilde dot, that will be equal to minus of curl h tilde over curl of qi tilde, right? So that means this transformation is said to be the canonical अगर इस सिस्टम से हम इस सिस्टम पे ट्रांसफॉर्म करते हैं, राइट? सो हम ये कंडीशन साथ में ले चलते थे कि ये आपके ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है विच सेटिस्फाई दिस, दैट मीन्स दिस जैकोबियन नॉन जीरो. ओके, नाउ द फ्री कैनोनिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन इज देयर. सो जो अभी हमने कैनोनिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन की बात की, सो द ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन also in addition by the inequality. Okay, so if we take that transformation जो अभी ऊपर लिखी हुई थी, and one more thing is there, curl of q1 tilde q2 tilde and qn tilde with respect to p1 p2 pn is non-zero. So these conditions which ensures the independence of the quantities t, qi's and qi's tilde. Okay, so that means इन कंडीशन के हेल्प से ये हमारे सभी क्या हो गए, LI हो गए, लीनियर इंडिपेंडेंट हो गए. इफ these are linearly independent and we will consider those as the basic variable. So जैसे हम पहले बेसिक वेरिएबल हमारे क्या लेकर चल रहे थे, टी क्यू आई पी आई, राइट? अब हम बेसिक वेरिएबल क्या लेकर चल रहे, टी क्यू आईज एंड क्यू आईज टिल्डा, राइट? दिस वन. नाउ व्हाट इज ओवर हियर, दैट मीन्स जो यहाँ पर ये पी आईज था, दिस पी आईज कैन we are expressing in the form of that pi expressed in the function of t qi tilde. Okay, so I am expressing this pi in form of this one. Okay, when we are expressing this in form of this one, so that means the function of this t qi pi that will be transformed into the some function of t qi's and qi's tilde. Okay, so that will be transformed to this thing, right? So I have written the same thing, that this inequality enable us to express the generalized momentum, this p1 p2 pn, in terms of the quantities t qi and qi tilde, where I vary from 1 to n, and you can say that the function of variable t qi pi as a function of the variable t qi and qi tilde, right? Where I belong to n. Now the generating function, what does it mean? The function of this one, जो हम पीछे हमने ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कैनोनिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के बारे में बात की थी in the last to last lecture. So what we said over there, we said that the condition under which the transformation will be canonical, what was that? We have talked about that pi tilde delta qi tilde minus of h tilde delta t, that will be equal to what? That will be c times of summation pi delta qi minus h delta t, right? C times of this one minus of delta F. Okay, so what is this C? C was the valence of this canonical transformation. This is the valency, right? And what is this F? This was the generating function, and that generating function was the function of T, Qis and Pis. Okay, but here we express this momentum as a function of T, Qi and Qi tilde. So that means this function will be transformed into the function of T, Qi and Qi tilde. उस function को मैं S से denote कर देता हूँ. So S will be a function of T, Qi and Qi tilde. Right. So we will say that the generating function f of the variable this is represented by a function s of T, Qi and Qi tilde. That means we are writing this thing. So we again use the condition under which the transformation is canonical. So we will say that in this one you will say summation pi tilde qi delta qi tilde minus h tilde delta t, that will be c times of summation pi delta qi minus h delta t minus delta of s. Okay, in place of f there is s. Okay, now when you open that delta of s, what it will be? This is a function of three coordinates t, qi and qi tilde. So if you find out delta of s, that will be curl s over curl t into delta t plus summation curl s over curl qi into delta qi plus summation curl s over curl qi tilde into delta qi tilde. We apply the minus sign, so that will be minus minus minus, right? So now what you have to do? Now there are the two equations. That means in this equation you have to compare the coefficients of the variables delta t, delta qi tilde and delta qi. Okay, I want to compare both the coefficients. So you can check that if I consider the coefficient of delta t, here is minus of s tilde if we are comparing the delta t coefficients. And what is here? That will be c into minus, that is minus ch, and delta t over here if I count, that is there. Okay, so minus of curl s over curl tilde. Okay, minus of curl s over curl t, right? So that means minus will be cancel both sides, that will be h tilde will be ch plus delta t, that will be there. Now if you are compare the delta coefficients of delta qi tilde, so what will be delta of qi tilde? That coefficient is pi tilde over here left hand side, and to the right hand side this is minus of curl s over curl qi tilde, right? Okay, so this will be the coefficient. So next I have written over there pi tilde will be equal to minus of curl s over curl qi tilde, right? Now if we both side we compare the coefficients of delta qi, so delta qi coefficient will be c into pi, okay, and plus curl s over curl qi. Okay, but left hand side there is no delta qi term, so that will be 0. Okay, so I will write down that cpi minus curl s over curl qi, that will be equal to 0, right? So in this way you will got these two equations, and this one and this one. Now this is known as the free canonical transformation. This is known as the equation, this both. So this is the free canonical transformation. Now how we get to those? That means हमने क्या किया, जो pi था, just pi we convert it into the form of t, qi and qi tilde. Okay, some function of that. Okay, then we continue over there, right? Now here this curl s over curl qi, that is pi, but pi is a function of t, qi tilde. So we are writing the thing that partial derivative this is a function of qi tilde. These are independent. These are independent because by virtue of this the relation ohm of this will be equal to 0. Ohm of this, that means function of this is equal to 0, would pass into the inequality, would pass into the equality function of, what is this one? This is curl s over curl q1 is cp1, cp2, cpn, q1, q2, qn, that will be equal to 0. Okay, so if this is equal to 0, but pi's and q's all are the independent. If these are the independent, so you will say that that function is identically 0. Okay, so we will say this function om is identically 0, right? Now we are saying this curl s over curl qi, these are independent, which is a function of this one. If these are independent, so you say that Jacobian of this with respect to q1 tilde, q2 tilde, qn tilde, that will be non-zero. Okay, so I will write down that terms. If this is a function of this q1 tilde, q2 tilde, qn tilde are li, okay, then you will say that Jacobian of this will be non-zero. Okay, curl square s over curl qi, curl qk tilde ik varying from 1 to n, that will be non-zero. Right. Now all the new phase variable, what we are doing here, we were expressing this qi tilde, that is a function of t qi and pi. Okay, that means if t, we are considering here t as a parameter. Okay, we will talk about later that all the new phase variables are this one qi tilde and pi tilde, we are expressing in terms of qi's and pi's. Then that transformation, so we are calling this 12 as the transformation. This thus obtained will be the reversible, for which this is non-zero. Okay, now the transformation will be reversible when this is non-zero. So if this is reversible, that means qi tilde with expressing in terms of qi's and pi's. In the reverse way, you can say that qi's and pi's is expressed in the form of qi tilde and pi tilde. Okay, that may be expressed in this form. So you will say that equation 13 star, which will be known as curl s over curl qi. Okay, जो अभी हमने बात की curl s over curl of qi, that will be equal to cpi, and curl s over curl qi tilde, that will be equal to minus pi tilde, right? Maybe this thing I got. This equation we have already talked about. That will be this one. So from here, curl s over curl qi tilde is equal to minus of pi tilde, and curl s over curl qi is equal to c pi. So these equations actually known as the free canonical transformation. Now, and with the given, that will be the given generating function, which is s, and with the given valency c will be non-zero. So if you write down the relation between the h and the h tilde, that is already we got. H and h tilde we got the relation. What was that? H tilde will be equal to, जो अभी हमने ऊपर लिखी है, that will be equal to ch plus some curl s over curl t, right, which was this one, right? So if we take the univalent free canonical transformation, so what will be the univalent transformation for which the valency will be 1? If you take the valency is 1, so जो आपकी इक्वेशन थी फ्री कैनोनिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन जो हमने डिफाइन किया, वो मेरी क्या बन जाएगी? कर्ल एस ओवर कर्ल क्यू आई, that was c pi, but c is 1, that will be equal to pi, and curl s over curl q tilde, that will be equal to minus p tilde, and h tilde is equal to ch plus curl s over curl qi, that becomes actually c आपका 1 है, so it will be h tilde will be equal to h plus curl s over curl t. Okay, so that will be equal to this one. But if you write down for any transformation, if you write down h tilde will be given by h tilde minus of ch, if you consider this equation, h tilde minus ch, that will be equal to curl s over curl t. If we say curl s over curl t is equal to 0, so that means if s is not explicitly dependent on time t, then curl s over curl t will be 0. If this is 0, so you will say that h tilde will be nothing but multiple of c, Hamilton function, which is the multiple of c. Okay, so you will say that in the transformation where the generating function will not explicitly dependent on time t, there h will not change actually. h आपका चेंज नहीं होगा, just that h will be get multiplied by some constant to get the another new h tilde. Okay, so here we got this one, h tilde will be equal to ch. So for this reason, if we desire to obtain a new system with essentially simple Hamiltonian function, so what you have to do, we must definitely take a free canonical transformation containing the time t as a parameter. Okay, तो हमें जब भी न्यू फंक्शन की जरूरत है एच टिल्डा की, सो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू विच इज़ द सिंपलर फंक्शन एक्चुअली. सो हमें क्या करना है, हमें चेंज नहीं करना है, बस हम जो एच है उसमें हमने क्या करना है, वी हैव टू टेक दैट t as a parameter and that c will be that h get multiplied by c and we get the new Hamilton function that will be h tilde, right. So that means जो हमने इक्वेशन डिफाइन किया 13 डबल स्टार में, दैट आर द फ्री कैनोनिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. और वो हमने कैसे डिफाइन किए, हमने पी आई को एक्सप्रेस किया था टी क्यू आई टिल्डा के फंक्शन की फॉर्म में. ओके, जिसका यूज करके हमने एस फॉर्म किया है. दैट मीन्स एफ किसकी जगह आया, जो आपका फंक्शन था टी क्यू आई पी आई का, वो हमारा ट्रांसफॉर्म हो गया एस ऑफ क्यू टी क्यू आई टिल्डा में. ओके, सो इस एग्जाम्पल की हेल्प से आपको क्लियर हो जाएगा. दैट मीन्स इफ this is given here, qi tilde is equal to alpha into pi and pi tilde will be equal to beta into qi. So this transformation is actually the free canonical transformation, because here you can express this pi in terms of t qi tilde. I can write it as 1 by alpha of qi tilde, right. So whatever be the function of t, जो भी हमारा फंक्शन था t qi pi का, so you will say that can be expressed to some function, suppose that s, that is the function of t qi tilde, राइट. सो हम इसे एक्सप्रेस करते हैं. कंडीशन हम पहले से जानते हैं, जो हमने पिछले लेक्चर में थ्योरम स्टडी की थी. वी आर यूजिंग दैट कंडीशन. तो वी हैव टू ड्राइव द जनरेटिंग फंक्शन एस. सो व्हाट वाज द कंडीशन, दैट वाज द समेशन ऑफ पी आई टिल्डा डेल्टा क्यू आई टिल्डा माइनस एस टिल्डा डेल्टा टी विल बी इक्वल टू सी टाइम्स ऑफ समेशन पी आई डेल्टा क्यू आई माइनस एस डेल्टा टी माइनस ऑफ डेल्टा एस. Wherever this summation is I equal to 1 to n, right. You can write down everywhere, you can write down I equal to 1 to n, over here, all there. But here we are considering, what we are considering, हमें क्या करना है, for the new function s tilde you have to consider that t as a parameter. If you have to consider t as a parameter, so delta of t will be 0. If delta of t will be 0, that term will not be there. Actually you have to show that for this transformation, इसके फ्री कैनोनिकल होने के लिए, दैट विल से दैट समेशन पी आई टिल्डा डेल्टा क्यू आई टिल्डा विल बी इक्वल टू सी टाइम्स ऑफ पी आई डेल्टा क्यू आई माइनस डेल्टा ऑफ एस. इफ़ यू हैव टू फाइंड दिस वैल्यू कि एस आपका है क्या, वैलेंसी आपकी है क्या, सो वी कंसिडर दिस थिंग. सपोज दैट वी राइट डाउन इन दिस वे, समेशन पी आई टिल्डा डेल्टा क्यू आई टिल्डा माइनस ऑफ सी टाइम्स ऑफ समेशन पी आई डेल्टा क्यू आई. दैट समेशन आई राइट डाउन ओनली वंस. ओके, कंबाइन द समेशन, सो आई राइट डाउन इन दिस वे, राइट. that will be equal to minus of delta s. So आपको s फाइंड आउट करना है. So I will take this one. So if I take this summation, so you place this value. हमें qi tilde और qi की फॉर्म में एक्सप्रेस करना है, तो pi tilde की वैल्यू रख दीजिए. What is pi tilde? Pi tilde is beta of qi. So I write down beta of qi delta qi tilde minus of c. What is pi? हमें pi चाहिए ही नहीं. So that means what will be the value of pi? Pi you can express in the form of टी क्यू आई टिल्डा की फॉर्म में एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हैं. दैट विल बी 1 बाई अल्फा क्यू आई टिल्डा. सो दिस इज 1 बाई अल्फा इंटू क्यू आई टिल्डा एंड डेल्टा ऑफ क्यू आई एज इट इज, राइट. सो हियर वी हैव टू राइट डाउन दिस वे, बट दिस शुड बी इक्वल टू माइनस ऑफ डेल्टा एस. दिस इज इक्वल टू दिस वन एक्चुअली, बट फॉर दिस you have to make it as a total differential of some function. So if you have to make it total differential of some function, so with what value we have to use for c? Actually we want beta is here. Okay, so if I take beta common throughout the expression and alpha shouldn't be there, so that means and plus sign should be there. So if I use c is equal to minus of alpha beta, so at that time alpha will be cancelled out and that will be plus sign and beta. Okay, so if I use over there, if I use c as minus alpha beta, okay, if I take c as minus alpha beta, then this expression will be becomes this one, and from here you can see that beta will be common and it will be taken as this one qi delta of qi tilde minus plus qi tilde into delta of qi. This can be written as delta of qi into qi tilde, right? Or you can say that delta of summation beta into summation qi tilde. Now what was this one? This was equal to minus of delta s. So minus of delta s is equal to delta of this one. So that means s will be equal to minus of beta into this one. Okay. So you will get minus of s will be equal to this one. So you can say that s will be equal to minus of this one, beta into summation qi tilde. Now this will be the generating function for the free canonical transformation. Okay. And what is the valency here? Valency हमने क्या यूज किया? C is minus alpha beta. So this is the valency for the free canonical transformation, and this was the generating function. Okay. So now we take some another example, so that that transformation is free canonical, and you have to find the generating function over here. Okay. So this transformation is free. Actually you can express this pi in terms of t qi tilde की फॉर्म में एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हो. ओके. एंड जो आपका फंक्शन f था, दैट कैन बी एक्सप्रेस्ड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ फंक्शन ऑफ t qi tilde, that is s. So we will express this one in form of this one, right? Now for this again same thing, we will consider summation pi tilde delta qi tilde minus c of summation pi delta qi is equal to minus of delta s. Because t we are considering as a parameter, so delta t will be 0. We didn't write over that term, right? So for this will be equal to minus of delta s. I solve this one. If I solve this one, so pi tilde into delta qi tilde, but pi tilde I don't want. What is pi tilde? Pi tilde is qi cot t. Okay. और pi की वैल्यू क्या हो जाएगी? qi tilde into cot t. Okay. So I will just place the value for this. If this was equal to this one, I am considering this one, this side, and this was equal to pi tilde की वैल्यू क्या हो जाएगी? qi cot t, that delta qi tilde as it is minus c times this pi. Pi is qi tilde cot t and delta of qi, right? So you can check that this cot t is common here, and that will be qi into delta qi tilde minus qi tilde delta of qi. Okay. So that expression can be a total differential of some function when if this there is a plus sign, अगर यहाँ पे plus sign आ जाए. Okay. So that means what you have to do here, C, I didn't write down C here, so C is here. Okay. So what should be the value for the c? If I take c is equal to minus 1, so that there becomes the plus. Okay. So that will be the delta of qi and qi tilde, right? So we use, to make it exact differential of some function, we use c as minus 1. That means valency of the transformation I take minus 1. So if I use c as minus 1, so it will be given by this one. That will be delta of qi tilde cot t. Okay. If you are writing down, that may be written as, because t as a parameter we are considering, so you will say that delta of cot t into summation of this thing, right? So for this you can say that delta, what is this one? This one minus of delta s, which will be equal to this one. So you will say that s will be equal to negative of this one. Okay. So which will be your generating function for the free canonical transformation, and valency will be minus 1, right? So this was the example through which transformation is canonical. Then we can find out the valency and the corresponding generating function. Now there is a next theorem, which is Hamilton-Jacobi equation. Now for this, suppose that a holonomic system with the canonical transformation qi tilde and will be equal to curl h over curl pi, and sorry, not qi tilde, qi dot curl h over curl pi, and pi dot is minus curl h over curl qi, where I varying from 1 to n. We will try to determine a free univalent canonical transformation So for this, what you have to do, we have to determine the free univalent canonical transformation. For this transformation, we have to consider the system qi tilde dot will be equal to curl h tilde over curl pi tilde, and pi tilde dot will be equal to minus curl h tilde over curl qi tilde, such that h tilde will be equal to 0. Okay. To determine the free univalent canonical transformation, we considering this one. This system with h tilde is equal to 0. So if h tilde equal to 0 we are considering, so that part will be 0, you will say. If 0 is say, so dqi tilde over dt will be equal to 0 and dpi tilde over dt will be equal to 0. So that means qi tilde will be equal to some constant and pi tilde will be equal to some constant. So we will get this one if h tilde 0. So this equation will be 0, this will be 0. So that means if you do integration, qi tilde will be equal to some alpha is and pi tilde will be equal to some beta is, right, where I is varying from 1 to n. So you will say this alpha is and beta is are the 2n arbitrary constant, you can check. Now this qi tilde means qi tilde is a function of t qi pi, that will be equal to alpha i. pi tilde को लिख देते, pi tilde is a function of t qi pi, that is equal to beta i. So by using this thing, this is the expression of t qi pi. So from here, function of t qi pi is equal to alpha i. If you find out the value of qi's, so that will be equal to function of both the equations. If I use function of t qi pi equal to alpha i, function of t qi pi equal to beta i. So if you solve both the equations, so you will get the value of qi's in the form of alpha i, t and beta i. Okay, if you solve both the equations. So similarly, pi, from here you can find out pi, that will be a function of t, alpha i and beta i. Okay, अगर मैं इन दोनों इक्वेशन का यूज करके सोल्व करता हूँ, so from here you can check that qi will be equal to function of t alpha i beta i and pi will be a function of t alpha i beta i, right. Now since h tilde is equal to 0 and you know that अभी हमने रिलेशन लिखी थी, if h tilde is equal to 0, you know that h tilde was equal to c h plus curl s over curl t, जो हमने फ्री कैनोनिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन में इक्वेशन फाइंड आउट की थी, दैट वाज द रिलेशन बिटवीन द एच टिल्डा एंड एच. So what is over here? C. This is the univalent free canonical transformation. So for this you will see C will be 1. So that means this will not be here. H tilde will be equal to H plus curl S over curl T. But I take the system we want to convert Hamiltonian in which H tilde is 0. वो Hamiltonian system we are considering for which H tilde is 0. If H tilde is 0, so we will say that H plus curl S over curl T. Our assumption, according to our assumption, H tilde is 0 and H plus curl S over curl T will be equal to 0. If this we are using and also the other free canonical transformation equations, if I use there, curl S over curl Qi was Cpi, so C is 1, that will be equal to Pi, and curl S over curl Qi tilde will be equal to minus of Pi tilde. Okay, so what does it mean? That means curl S over curl T plus some function of T Qi Pi is equal to 0. Okay, so what we do over here, we just place the value of Pi's. Pi is nothing but that is curl S over curl Qi. So curl S over curl T plus function of T Qi and curl S over curl Qi will be equal to 0. Okay, so that equation is known as the Hamilton-Jacobi equation. Okay, and if you write down the if S T Qi tilde is replaced by, that is a function of T Qi tilde, but if you replace this Qi tilde by alpha i, क्योंकि अभी हमने फाइंड आउट किया है कि अगर H tilde 0 है तो Qi tilde क्या था आपका alpha i. So if I replace this in this function Qi tilde by alpha i, so this equation is actually known as the complete integral. उस केस में मैं इसे complete integral बोल दूँगा, right? So in this way we complete the Hamilton-Jacobi equation. Now in the next lecture we will discuss in the next class. Thank you very much, students.